Forget everything you thought you knew about the Kennedy clan. Their great empire wasn't built by a cunning billionaire, but by a woman who traded the free will of her own children for absolute power. Today, we are cracking open the archives of Rose Kennedy, the political strategist, the censor, and the mastermind director behind America's most glamorous and tragic myth. Fact number 1. A stolen dream and a deal with the devil. Rose never intended to be just an obedient wife. While still in high school, she was accepted into Wellesley College, one of the top women's colleges in America. But her father, acting on the advice of Boston's Catholic elite, slammed that door shut and sent his daughter to a strict convent school instead. Even at 90 years old, Rose would call this the greatest regret of her life. She was taught the ultimate rule. Even the smartest woman must submit to the family image. But she didn't just submit, she took over the game. Even before marrying Joseph Kennedy, she founded the Ace of Clubs, an exclusive group for young women to discuss politics and world history. Long before her sons took to the podiums, she had already built her own political laboratory. In 1914, she married Joe Kennedy. When his endless, dirty affairs began, her father forbade her from getting a divorce. Rose returned to her husband, but on that very day the couple struck a silent, chilling pact. Joseph would get absolute freedom, and Rose would get unlimited access to the money and dictatorial control over the creation of their future dynasty. No more tears. Strictly business. Fact number 2. The Presidential Incubator, 114 pounds, and the Soul Index. Rose turned motherhood into a CEO position. In her office sat a massive oak filing cabinet, where a personal index card was kept for each of her 9 children. Data was recorded with maniacal precision. Shoe sizes down to the millimeter, every vaccination, every book read, and every outburst of anger. Even during summer vacations in Hyannis Port, the children's freedom was an illusion. They could swim in the ocean or go sailing only until Rose raised a specific flag. This little family fleet answered to one admiral, and that admiral was their mother. Her control pierced through walls. When young John was studying at the elite Choate boarding school, Rose wrote to the staff in a panic, worried he was eating too many sweets at the local tuck shop and ignoring his vegetables. That archival letter contains a line that is terrifying in its mechanical coldness. My records show 114.5 pounds in September, 115 in January. The future leader of the free world, even as a teenager, existed inside his mother's weight spreadsheet. Fact number 3. Perfect legs at Ascot and a secret military code for daughters-in-law. An ironclad law ruled the Kennedy household: never show weakness, scrape your knee, smile, and keep walking. Humiliated by your husband, put on your best dress and keep your chin up. Rose herself was obsessed with physical perfection. The British press was almost inappropriately fascinated by her. Journalists wrote that she didn't have a single gray hair, ran up the stairs ignoring elevators, and had the most beautiful and best-dressed legs at the Royal Ascot. Rose brilliantly understood that in politics, even legs can become part of a grand myth. She passed this ruthless survival school on to the next generation. Years later, Rose would give every future daughter-in-law the exact same cold briefing. She would look them in the eye and say, "You are marrying into a political family. You are going to hear the filthiest gossip about your husbands. Do not pay attention to it." This wasn't motherly advice, it was a military code of conduct. A Kennedy woman is obliged to smile, even when the house around her is burning to the ground. Fact number 4. Dinner with the mistress. She's either a fool or a great actress. In the late 1920s, Joseph Kennedy openly financed movies and had a passionate, highly public affair with Hollywood's biggest superstar, Gloria Swanson. He reached a point of absolute audacity. He actually brought his mistress to dinner at their family home. Any other woman would have smashed the china and filed for divorce, destroying the clan's reputation. But Rose came down to the dining room in a flawless Parisian gown and spent the entire evening making incredibly polite conversation about the weather with her rival, acting as if nothing were happening. Gloria Swanson later gave perhaps the most accurate and chilling description of Rose Kennedy. Looking at this perfect, unflappable woman, the brilliant actress asked herself just one question. She is either a fool or she's a better actress than I am. And therein lay the terrifying truth. Rose was no fool. She had simply learned that sometimes absolute power starts with the ability to professionally pretend you are blind. Fact number 5. The bloody lobotomy and Rosemary Kennedy's stolen dances. The darkest page in the family archives is the fate of the eldest daughter, Rosemary. Due to a difficult birth, she suffered oxygen deprivation and developmental delays. But the most agonizing part of this story is that before the fatal intervention, Rosemary's life wasn't a total disaster. In England, the young woman was actually thriving. She was cared for by attentive nuns, and her letters home showed real progress. She just wanted a normal youth. She asked her mother why she couldn't go on dates like other girls. Sometimes John and his friend Lem Billings would take Rosemary to dances. They would bring her back home, and then go back out to have fun without her. For Rosemary, it was a constant, cruel reminder. You can look at a normal life, but you are forbidden from fully entering it. When their daughter's instability began to threaten the family's political image, her father made a monstrous decision. In 1941, 23-year-old Rosemary was subjected to an experimental lobotomy. The operation destroyed her ability to speak, walk, and live independently. The family's public history practically erased her for decades. The Klan didn't eliminate a hopeless case, they murdered a human being's fragile chance at happiness. Fact number 6. A London fairy tale and an edited letter to the Queen. When Joseph became the U.S. ambassador to Great Britain in 1938, the Kennedys didn't live in London like ordinary diplomats. They lived like an American royal dynasty in dress rehearsal. A luxurious 6-story residence, more than 20 bedrooms, a massive army of servants, chefs, and governesses. For Christmas alone, they handed out 110 family gifts. And in the middle of this chaos stood Rose in an evening gown, running the house like a miniature sovereign state. She reveled in her triumph. After a weekend at Windsor Castle, Rose wrote a thank you note to the Queen of England. A draft of this letter survives in the archives, showing where Rose meticulously by hand scrubbed the phrasing and tailored the tone of every single line. For any other woman, it would have been a simple, polite gesture. For Rose, it was the exam of a lifetime. The daughter of an Irish Catholic politician from Boston was now personally editing every word addressed to the British Crown. Fact number 7. The Unforgiven Daughter and the Telegram, the power of silence is huge. But while Rose mastered diplomatic protocol perfectly, family forgiveness came much harder. When British society's darling, her cheerful daughter Kathleen, known to everyone as Kick, decided to get married, a scandal erupted. Her chosen groom, an English aristocrat, was Protestant. For the fanatically Catholic Rose, this meant spiritual betrayal, an unforgivable sin. Out of the entire massive Kennedy clan, only her oldest brother, Joe Jr., showed up to Kick's wedding. After the ceremony, he sent his parents a telegram with a single sentence that could have been the terrifying motto for the entire dynasty. The power of silence is huge. In this family, silence wasn't the absence of words. It was the deadliest weapon. Soon after, Kick's husband was killed on the front lines, and in 1948, 28-year-old Kathleen herself died in a plane crash in France. Rose never attended the funeral of her unforgiven daughter. Fact number 8. The donkey skirt and the political hypnosis that opened the door to the White House. John F. Kennedy would never have won his pivotal elections without his mother's secret political weapon, the famous Kennedy teas. The first such tea party in the city of Worcester expected a modest 1,000 guests. 5,000 showed up. This wasn't a high society reception, it was a political stampede in white gloves. Rose had a genius understanding of visual branding. At one televised tea party, her daughter Eunice modeled a stylish skirt, but instead of the fashionable poodle of the era, it featured an embroidered donkey, the symbol of the Democratic Party. In 1952, it was a cute family joke. Today, we'd call it brilliant political merch. Rose completely dissolved into the campaign. She spent her 46th wedding anniversary not at a celebration dinner with her husband, but on the campaign trail, waiting for John's historic televised debates with Nixon. Her true marriage had long been not to Joseph, but to the dynasty. Later, when John became president and Jacqueline Kennedy was absent, it was Rose who quietly stepped in as hostess at White House state dinners, welcoming the Emperor of Ethiopia and foreign presidents. She spent her whole life preparing her sons for power, and when power finally arrived, she took the wheel herself. Fact number 9. 185,000 pieces of evidence. The woman who edited death. Rose Kennedy survived the deaths of 4 of her children and the highly public assassinations of 2 sons right in front of the world. On the day John was shot in Dallas, she simply ordered the servants to unplug all the television so as not to disturb her ailing husband and walked out totally alone to pace the freezing beach. But the most chilling part came later. Rose never let go of anything. The archives of the JFK library hold a staggering number, over 185,000 items tied to her, and that doesn't even count photographs and film reels. She wrote thousands of diary entries, and then, personally by hand, edited their typewritten copies. Decades later, she specifically requested copies of John's old letters from the Choate School. She sat down and underlined the necessary fragments to use in her memoirs. Rose Kennedy didn't just remember the past, she edited it, like a ruthless movie director, personally deciding which scenes of the great family myth the audience would see, and which would burn forever in the fireplace of history. Rose Kennedy lived to be 104. She didn't just survive the epicenter of the 20th century's greatest political storm. She was its archivist, stylist, political strategist, strict censor, and ultimate creator. Now be honest, was Rose Kennedy a great mother who forged her children for a cruel world, or a cold architect who turned her own family into a political project? Let us know in the comments. Would you call her a hero or a monster? Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and see you in the next investigation into the darkest secrets of history.